Today, we're tackling a huge question, one that's really at the heart of our entire tech revolution. Is AI this incredible force for good, pushing us forward? Or have we accidentally opened a Pandora's box of dangers we're not ready for? So let's just get right into that because it's the perfect way to frame this whole conversation. I mean, we all feel the acceleration, right? These amazing new tools, the productivity boosts, it's all happening. But what about that other side of the coin? What happens when you lift the lid on that box? Well, it turns out some of the monsters are already out. This isn't science fiction anymore. What you're looking at here is a taste of something called LeMay-Hug. And this is a whole new kind of malware. It's not just following a script. It actually thinks. It adapts. And it's commanding its own attacks in real time. And that really brings us to our first major point. We're not talking about some far-off future problem. The new age of AI-driven threats, it's here. The box is officially open, and now we've got to figure out exactly what's climbing out. So what makes something like LeMay-Hug so scary, so different? Well, for starters, it hooks directly into powerful AI platforms that are publicly available. It then uses these models to create attack commands on the fly, meaning every single attack is unique. It literally tailors its strategy for each specific target, which makes it nearly impossible for your classic antivirus software to catch. Okay, so that's the what. But what about the how? I mean, how are these super sophisticated new weapons even being created? Well, it takes a new kind of cybercriminal, using a completely new kind of technique. Let's see how they do it. And here it is. This is the real game changer, prompt hacking. You might have heard of developers using something called vibe coding, where you can just tell an AI in plain English what you want a program to do. Well, of course, criminals have already turned it into a weapon. They don't need to be expert coders anymore. They just need to know how to write the right prompt. And this image just says it all, doesn't it? Before, you had your script kiddies, guys who needed a lot of technical skill to piece together an attack. Now, you have prompt hackers who just need to get good at talking to an AI. The results? The skill you need to launch a cyber attack has totally plummeted, while the potential damage and complexity of that attack has just skyrocketed. And look, this isn't a hypothetical. This is happening right now, on the world stage. We've got documented cases of state-sponsored groups, like Russia's APT-28, using open-source AI models built in China to create totally new kinds of attacks. This is cyber warfare evolving right before our eyes. So, the big question is, what does this all mean for the rest of us? For businesses, for governments, for you? The fact is, the rules of the game have completely changed. We are on a brand new cybersecurity battlefield. And here's the tough new reality. The old way of thinking, building a perfect, impenetrable wall, that's basically over. The strategy now has to accept that breaches are gonna happen. The new goal isn't just stopping attacks. It's about how fast you can get back on your feet when one succeeds. And we're talking about recovery in minutes, not days. This image here is a great way to visualize this new landscape. It's not a straight line of defense anymore. It's this messy, complex, interconnected web of threats and responses. It means you have to be in a constant state of engagement because the bad guys and their tools are never standing still. So for businesses, this is a huge internal challenge. The ones who are going to come out on top will be the ones who can do two things really well. First, get their data in order, because that's the fuel for AI. And second, learn how to manage their new digital employees, which are the AIs becoming part of their teams. All right, so we've laid out the threat. It's complicated, it's fast-moving, and it is definitely here. But it is not hopeless. So now, let's pivot and talk about how we fight back. And it all starts with getting the basics right. It's a simple idea, right? As the swords get sharper, the shields have to get stronger. And the good news is, even though the attacks are super high-tech, a really strong defense is still built on that solid foundation of good old-fashioned security habits. So what can you personally do? It really comes down to cybersecurity 101. First, be super skeptical of phishing emails. Second, be really, really careful what you download. A lot of those free AI tools or cracked software, they're just Trojan horses. Third, and this is a big one, use multi-factor authentication everywhere you possibly can. And last, just keep your stuff updated. These simple steps are still your absolute best first line of defense. Now for businesses, it's got to be a bit more layered. You really have to protect 4 key things. First, your data. It's the lifeblood of AI. Second, your infrastructure, both physical and in the cloud. Third, the AI model itself, making sure it can't be stolen or poisoned. And fourth, the application layer. That's the front door, where your users actually interact with the AI. And watching over all of that, you need a solid governance plan. Think of it as 3 pillars. Responsibility. Someone has to be accountable for the data. Permissions. You need strict rules about who gets to see and touch what. And resources. Using things like whitelists to make sure only approved and safe tools are being used. So, where does all this leave us? Well, we're at a really critical moment. We're staring down a technology that has unbelievable promise and, at the exact same time, unprecedented risk. At the end of the day, AI is a tool. It's an incredibly powerful, double-edged sword, and we can't put it back in the box. The only way forward is to embrace the amazing things it can do, but to do it with our eyes wide open, building defenses that are just as smart and agile as the threats we're up against. And that leaves us with the final and most important question. We are officially in an arms race where both the good guys and the bad guys are using AI. So the question isn't if this race is happening, it's who's going to stay one step ahead, because the answer to that is going to define our digital world for a long, long time.